Once upon a time, two retired teachers decided to convert their garage into a pottery studio. Along with their daughter and son, they built a business around the idea that the world could use a little more art and a lot more artists. We're the Kaya family. Welcome to Wocky Pots. Hi everybody, how you doing? How you been? How are things? Shane and Diana here with coffee time number 55, am I right?
Yes,
55.
Yes, 55.
At Wocky Pot Studio. Hope you're having a fantastic day. We've got lots of stuff to talk about today. Diana, what's on our agenda to talk about today?
Well, we have quite a bit from last week to talk about. So many things going on. So we'll get started with that. We had two classes in the studio last week.
And it was fantastic. We had two wheel classes.
Yes, you did, and a hand building.
Right, and a hand building class.
So the one was a combo.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Great.
But
classes.
yeah, so those went really well, and then we made 55 items last week.
That was actually, we made more than we thought we were going to do. 55 items last week is not bad. Not what we wanted to do, but it was pretty good.
Well, honestly, no, it really was, because I'd only put down 40.
Well, we exceeded our expectations.
Did exceed that, so that was a good thing. But I just knew there was a lot going on, so I kind of have had our goal set low. And so I was really happy because we surpassed it.
Yep.
And of course, I updated our little sign back there with our January goal. And did you notice the mug is getting more and more colorful?
It's getting more colorful because we're making more pottery.
Yes. So, and we will, we can talk about, if you want, some of the things that we didn't make last week.
Right. So I made more bowls because I seem to be in a bowl jam. Doing fairly well with these. I feel like I'm getting a little faster at making them and enjoying the process a little bit more. It's great. I had a good time making that stuff. You made some stuff on the wheel last week.
I'm looking at your bowl, and then I'm looking at this bowl of mine, thinking to myself, oh, they're very similar.
They are similar.
There is a very distinct difference, however, so I'll just turn mine on its side and you turn yours.
Well, but I think your skills are progressing. You're doing really great.
Yeah. Oh, I have a little foot. I have a foot. I did a foot.
Yep, and mine is just a smooth foot. I did trim that up.
But mine is thicker than yours. Not by a tremendous amount, but I do like the rim of my bowls to be sort of thick. I don't know why, but I prefer that. It kind of reminds me, when I was growing up, my mother had one of the bowls that was her grandfather's bowl, and it kind of looked like a leopard, and it was I guess it must have been a piece of
handmade ceramics.
Yes, and I remember distinctly that its rim was quite thick. It was a heavy bowl too, but anyway, I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. It just brings back some good memories. I don't know what it is. It's wintertime, guys. I'm all about going down memory lane.
Well, you've been doing a great job on your bowls.
Yeah.
You made a couple of more over there as well.
And of course, everybody can notice that every bowl I have is totally unique because I just go with it.
Well, you're developing your habits and your skills, and I think you're doing a great job.
Oh, you've got to share. Grab that one from up there on the end.
Which?
The last one. Yes, just grab that one.
I can reach it.
Yes, you can get it. There it is.
Okay, you're going to love this one, you guys.
Wait till you see this one.
You go ahead.
Ready?
That's Diana's bowl. She was very enthusiastic with the trimming at the bottom.
Yeah.
And she trimmed it well.
I was having a grand time with that trimming, and the next thing I know, I looked at him and I said, honey, this one doesn't have a bottom anymore.
Well, I'm going to say this is going to be a great bowl for if you're trying to watch what you eat. If you're not trying to eat that much. Like, you could fill this whole thing with cereal.
A bowl for a diet.
Diet bowl. Yeah,
yes.
I love it. Anyway, Diana was trimming, and she certainly did trim. Good job on that.
I did. Thank you for grabbing.
I think the most important thing about making the bowls is that we were making them at the same time. We both sat down at a wheel. I sat down at the older, bigger wheel. Dinah sat down at the newer, smaller one. And we were both cracking out bowls at the same time, working with different clays because I'm still all about that sheltery brown on the wheel.
And I used the standard 112.
Which has grog and manganese specks in it. And it's a great clay to work with. I'm working on a smooth plastic bat on top of my wheel, and I don't really like how the grog and the grit gets under my hand when I'm throwing on the wheel as much with that bat on the top. But the clay that Diana's using does work quite well for hand building and for the wheel.
I don't notice the roughness of it. I don't know if I just don't feel it, or if it's because the top of the small wheel is very grooved.
I think that's it. The little particles, the little bits, go in the grooves of the wheel, and they don't abrade against your hand. I think that's key.
And I will say that the last time I was on the wheel, I was using your Sheltoe and was not getting what I would call was a sellable bowl. So these would be sellable.
This brown clay is very plastic and very bendy, and you really got to pay attention while you're using it. And getting things thin with the Sheltoe brown is a task. It really is.
Right. And I mean, it's something that over time you do, without thought. But when you started, there was little extra pieces that you did in the process and stuff because of
you got to make a whole bunch of bad stuff before you start making good stuff.
Right.
It's about the making.
Yes, and I always have a hard time with that because, I don't mind a little wonky, but for me, it's like, although I did get a giggle out of that bowl. I was proud of myself that day because I didn't get upset about it. It was funny. So maybe I'm getting there. Maybe I'm getting better.
Making things by hand building is different than making things on a wheel. You wouldn't expect to make something using hand building slab techniques, make it and then just toss it in the reclaim bucket after you make it. Make something and then toss it in the reclaim. You wouldn't do that with hand building a mug. But working on the wheel, that's just a normal part of the procedure. You might fairly often, when you're first starting out, load the wheel up with a pound or so of clay, get halfway through it, and just take the whole glob of clay off the wheel and start with a fresh chunk of clay. You don't really do that when you're hand building with slab techniques.
Right. Oh, and I will pick this up because last week we were talking about the commission order that we had, and I know Aditi gave a suggestion to...
Thank you, Aditi.
Yes, because we were really worrying over this adding something on. I'm so used to doing a hand building, but I didn't think it would work with the wheel thrown. So that day that we were doing all these bowls, at the end, my very last thing that I did was this cup. And of course, when I did it, this is what it looked like. No handle, no badge on it, and it was just the body. And then the next morning I came in, I trimmed the bottom, and look at the bottom.
Good job on the bottom.
I like my bottom. Added my handle, and then I rolled out and stamped in the word hope. I
will give you pictures so you can see a closer image of this.
Because maybe there's hope for my wheel throwing yet.
There absolutely is.
So anyway, so I did this, and that process worked very, very well. And it's right now, everything is uniform wetness. There's no difference
That's
in
not
handle
crack.
or badge or cup. It's all the same. So I'm tickled. So
thank you very much, Aditi, for the tip, and we have no worry now about making the commission pieces for this.
So Amanda, those mugs will be coming.
Yep, they sure will. This is not like the commission mugs. Commission mugs are going to be taller, but now that we know the process
he'll
works,
make them. My things are short because right now that's all I can do.
You could make them.
I'll get there, but I don't feel confident yet.
What we do know though is that the technique will work just fine. So we're going to
I'm tickled.
cracking those out soon.
I'm very tickled with that. We also did a lot of organizing and cleaning last week in the studio because what we were finding was we had been so busy that things had gotten misplaced, and even our shelves, there was like mixtures of bisque, greenware, glaze.
Stacked.
You know, it was like, why are they all in the same place? So we went through, and we now have a dedicated greenware shelf.
As it should be.
Yes, we have a dedicated bisqueware. We have a dedicated one for pieces that are glazed and ready to go in the kiln to be fired for their last time, and then a place to put the finished pieces before we pack them up to take them to the market. And also hopefully, you know, some of them we will be putting on the Etsy store that we didn't take any pictures for last week.
But that's okay. We did pick out some of the very first ones that are going on our Etsy store, and that's what you see lined up in front of us here on the table. These are some of the first pieces that we're going to be stocking our Etsy store with. We have a wheel-thrown mug that I did, a hand-built soup bowl that Diana did, a hand-built mug.
That's yours.
This is mine?
That's yours.
Oh, it is. I don't know why I thought this was the hand-built one. It's not. This is a thrown soup bowl. Diana's hand-built sweater mug, her Sea Star cup, a little syrup pourer. I had so much fun making this.
Yeah, you did. I love
And then
those.
this bowl. Now this bowl, you might recognize it. It had a lid. I'm only 60% happy with the way the lid fits, so I'm not going to try to sell this as a lidded bowl. It did work. It does sit on top, but it doesn't fit the way I want it to. So we're just going to sell it as a bowl.
Yes, and plus it's so beautiful with the glazing, the Northern Lights glazing on it, that, you know, I really love being able to look into it. It's very nice. So
Anyway,
happy.
we did pick out some of the pottery. That's going to be some of our first stuff on Etsy, and here is some of the stuff.
And we
will
may
get those.
actually get those pictures taken today, but we're going to try to take photos of 5 to 6 things
5 to 6 a day, right?
every day. At least then we can make that commitment, and maybe it will get done. So once again, guys, if next week rolls around and we sit here and have to say, whoops, we didn't do anything for that again, just remind us.
We will get there.
We will.
My fear is that we won't get the Etsy shop up and running until the market season hits, and then we have to keep
that would be too
simultaneous
need it up and
inventory,
going.
right.
Yes, up and going. You know, and then maybe we'll decide that, only this stuff goes to the Etsy store and everything else goes to.
Well, we said
So
it
we'll see.
before, and it came up again yesterday. The perfect is the enemy of the good.
Yeah.
We don't have to have it perfect right at launch with the Etsy store. And I think we've been trying to worry over it a little too much. We just need to kick it out the door and get it done, because it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be up and running.
Yes. And then last week we had a bisque load. So of course that bisque load has pretty much filled the shelf behind me.
Right.
And so one of the things that we shared last week was the napkin holder that I had made, and I was like, well, I hope it doesn't completely flop over in the bisque load. And I'm happy to say it did not completely fall down in the bisque load. But I will say this side is probably the straightest side, and this side has just a slight bit of a lean in. So it's just a little bit of a warp there. It's not enough that I would say it makes it ugly. So this is going to get glazed this week, and then we'll share the results, and we'll see if it warps anymore or if it stays like this.
I think it's going to be great. I think it's
So I'm very happy with it. So I will make more of these. I may change how I dried it just a little bit more. We'll see to prevent that, but I'm okay with it.
But that's one of the pieces that was greenware last time you saw it. Now it's been bisque, and we're ready to glaze. We're going to be spending a lot of time today glazing. We have a couple of things happening today. Glazing is one of them. We have to have an entire bisque load done by Wednesday night, Thursday morning. Sorry, not bisque load, glaze load, so that we can have everything out by next weekend. The next time we do a coffee time, we'll be showing you hopefully pieces that came out of the kiln that are completely finished and glazed and done.
There's probably going to be a kiln load. I
Right.
forgot about that. You know, when I started making our notes, I mean, if we're putting in a glaze load, we always do a kiln unload.
Right, so we'll have a short
Wow.
kiln unload video, and then we'll maybe show you guys some of our favorite pieces
Right.
next week.
Oh, that's something to think
Yep.
about. Oh boy.
I already have some possibilities.
It has been a while since we've had a kiln unload. Well, it's been a while since we've had a glaze load in the kiln, so it'll be like Christmas.
Right,
Yay.
it'll be great. So what else do we have happening today?
Well, today we do have a family coming in to glaze the mug that is for a competition. So they're coming this afternoon. We were going to try to take these photos and then see what else happens. Probably not a whole lot else.
I would have loved to sit down and make stuff at the wheel. That's probably not going to happen. If we
Yeah,
do
probably
anything like that, it really is going to be just
Yes.
glazing and trying to get ahead of
Yeah.
that schedule.
And before we move on to the coming week, we have our challenge and our highlight to share.
Mhm.
And so your challenge for the week was?
Yeah, the snow.
Yeah.
As much as I loved it last week,
Mhm.
and it was a joy for
It
sure.
was.
Do you know we still have snow on the ground? Not a lot,
No.
but there is still snow on the ground, and that does kind of make it kind of a sloppy mess because it's all slushy and,
Now
and
it is,
melted
yes.
and
And
ugly
we're
looking now.
starting to get spots with some mud and
Right.
that's when it's yick.
We had folks come into the studio yesterday for a class, and it's the first time I've actually been embarrassed by the amount of mud in our driveway. Like, they almost needed four-wheel drive. I mean, it wasn't
they
that
did
bad,
not.
but it was bad enough that I thought to myself, you know, maybe we need to put more gravel down or something.
Yeah, but it just, you know, give it a couple of days and the ground will absorb it. But everything had also been frozen solid, so it really didn't have anywhere to go in that first initial fall.
So last week's highlight was this week's challenge, and as much as we love the snow, it's time for it to either go away or have enough snow so it actually looks pretty, because it's just kind of ugly and gray right now.
Yeah, so, but we had a highlight last week also, and our highlight was shared together because last week we made, you want to hold that one up?
Sure.
We made our little fish dishes and our little heart trinkets.
And you know already about the heart trinkets.
Yes.
These were a big seller at our market last year.
Yeah. And the fish is one that we're going to be doing this year for those folks that come back that they might want more hearts, but then they might look and say, oh, I love this. This will be something different, and they might want a little fish.
I think we're going to do a trinket dish of the
Yes.
year every market
Yeah.
season. We'll do a different shape of trinket dish, just a small little dish.
Yeah, and they are just adorable. I really love them. But the reason that it was such a highlight last week for me was because we did them together.
Right. Normally, when we do things in the studio at the same time, usually Diana's working on a hand building task while I'm working on the wheel, for example, and we're working at the same time,
Right.
but doing different things. Last week, we actually worked together to make the trinket dishes, and then when we were throwing on the wheel, we were throwing on the wheel at the same time. So that was a highlight.
It was a fun day. You know, we had talked about switching jobs, but instead of switching, we actually just did them together at the same time.
And that was nice.
It was nice, you know, and I was amazed at how quickly we were able to make them because we were doing it. It was, what, tag teaming?
Yeah, we weren't using the same kind of clay, and, you know, so we had to be careful about how we were, you know, wedging up our clay, wear, and you know, contamination of colors and all that stuff. But it was nice to just work elbow to elbow on our throwing. It was nice.
Yes, it was. It was a lot of fun. So now we'll move on to this week. Alrighty. So this week begins our homeschool pottery classes.
As you know, we normally do homeschool art classes, and this is just another homeschool art class.
Right.
It's the same kids.
Many of the same.
Many of the same kids, with a few new ones in both sessions. But instead of being general art classes where, you know, we talk about art movements and art techniques and media, this is focused on 3D design, sculpture, ceramics, and pottery. So the kids are going to be in here working with clay for all of their sessions, and I can't wait. It's going to be be so much fun.
Yes, and one of the goals of the class is that they have their own place setting at the end of the class, so that they're going to be doing some coil building for a bowl. They'll be doing a slab built cup, and then they will use a form and make a plate.
It'll be great for
So
and for those
it'll be
of
fun.
for those that are interested and have time, they might have the opportunity to sit down at the wheel if they want to. I will say that for some of the younger kids, it's kind of a challenging task for them. But I know that there are some older kids that have worked with clay before that might love the opportunity to sit down and make something at the wheel too.
Right, and that'd be fun for them. So, but we're looking forward to that. I will say it's a lot to prepare for. I believe we have a total of 20 kids.
20 kids.
Not at the same time.
Although
2 sessions, same day.
Although that's what I was going to say. They're the same day, so it'll be about approximately 10 kids in the morning and approximately 10 kids in the afternoon. And those numbers aren't exact, I know, but that's what it will be.
Yeah.
And we have to make sure that we have the space set aside, for their projects and all that stuff. But it'll be fun.
Yes, I think it is. I think it's going to be a good time for them and for us. So, we do have another wheel throwing class coming up this coming Saturday.
Right, 3 folks are coming in on Saturday, and I'm going to have probably the other wheel that Carolyn has borrowed will be in the studio.
Right.
I have an inexplicable observation for you guys. For whatever reason, people who are new tend to prefer that inexpensive Vivor Amazon wheel over the pretty expensive professional wheel that I normally do my throwing on. I don't know why, but yesterday we had 2 young ladies come in the studio, and both of them preferred that smaller wheel. And I don't know whether it's because it's a little less intimidating, it's a little less bulky, it's maybe easier to sit down at. I don't know.
One thing too, with the speed, it doesn't have as much variability as yours. So like you just put your foot on it and you go.
There is less of a difference. Like if you push down with your foot, say for example an inch on the small wheel, that gives you a very fast speed. In order to get that same speed on the larger wheel, you might have to push down a lot more. There's a huge variation in speed on the larger wheel, and on the smaller wheel you have basically 3 speeds: fast, really fast, and too fast. Whereas in the big wheel, I can make that go as slow as I want it to. I can make it so it's just barely turning if I wanted to. It's very difficult to achieve that level of precision on the smaller wheel, and that might make it easier when it comes down to sitting at the wheel for the first time. I don't know.
Right, and they're not the only ones who have preferred that one. I remember Michael preferred that one.
We had several folks new to pottery, relatively new to pottery, several people who have, in fact, I can't think of a single person who sat down at a wheel for the very first time and preferred the good wheel, which is strange.
Mr. B?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I remember.
Something to think about.
Anyway, the point is, those tiny little inexpensive wheels that we're using in the studio aren't going anywhere. They appear to be useful tools here in our studio.
And that is what I throw on. And I don't know, the last time I threw the Chateauie, I was on your wheel. So who knows? Maybe
there might be something.
Maybe it is about being newer to throwing and using that inexpensive wheel.
Maybe I need to do the thing that I said I was going to do a long time ago and give a real side-by-side comparison between the 2 wheels. That's probably what I need to do.
Yeah, there's always lots of things that we want to do and just don't get to.
I'm pretty sure I said I was going to do that about a year ago.
Well, maybe you should do that then. Maybe that needs to go on the list. Okay. Alrighty, so we also have a lot of glazing to get done because, as you said, we want to get that in either Wednesday night or Thursday morning, for the firing.
Going to be a challenge because we're out of many of our favorite glazes.
Yes, so we do. We have a very limited amount of glazes, so the combos you know, that's kind of a good thing in a way sometimes because it takes away some of the choice. Because you can spend a lot of time thinking about, which do I want to do? But with limited choices, you can't spend but so much time.
If you've only got a few glazes to choose from, you're going to choose a lot faster.
I have a lot of empty bottles, and an order that's on back order. So.
We have lots of clay and glazes that we're waiting for the last little
Yes.
bits to come in before we make the trek to Norristown to pick the stuff up from the ceramic shop.
Yeah, so still waiting. But also this week we plan on filming our tutorial for the month of January, because remember, one of our goals is to put out 12 tutorials this year. And we had a request for me to show how I make my cardinals. So I figured it would be a fun time for you and I to sit down.
That's right. I'm going to be making these right along with Diana.
Yes. And he hasn't made a cardinal before. So
I have not.
He's
My
going to be
cardinal,
making it at the same time as you guys if you do it.
my cardinal will end up looking like a snail, for sure.
No, it will not. It will probably surpass mine.
I don't think that's.
Oh, I think it will. I think it will. I love your stuff.
Thank you.
Yes. So, and then of course, since we were able to make 55 items last week, and we had said we were only going to do 40, I'm bumping that number up this week. So I'm going to say we're going to do 60.
60 pieces next week. We could totally do that if we make small stuff. If
Well, and
we were
if we
making
didn't
big stuff,
have
we
all
wouldn't.
the extra things going on, it wouldn't.
We could whip those out in
Yes,
one day.
but
really.
with all the other things going on, classes and other outside issues. Oh, we have furniture coming.
New furniture.
Yes, new
comes-
furniture this week.
And we're in kind of a dilemma because our dogs love to get on our sofas with us in the morning when we drink our coffee or sit and watch TV. I don't know if we're going to let them on the new furniture because they'll destroy it. They destroyed our old furniture. We may have to cover it just so we can get those stupid, silly dogs up there on the
Well,
sofa.
I don't know how we wouldn't allow them because can you see the devastated
They will
look?
be so sad.
I mean, as I
So
said,
sad.
I'll have to sit in the floor. You'll
Mhm.
have to sit in the floor.
Our new furniture is just going to be futon mattresses thrown on the floor.
Yeah.
That's what it's going
You know, and then somehow or another, somebody has to help me get out of the floor.
to be.
So-
No matter what, we're getting the new furniture in, and we're going to have
Yeah.
to figure out a way to keep the furniture from being shredded within the first couple months of ownership.
Yes,
So we'll
that's right.
figure it
But
out.
at least Juno's not a puppy anymore, so maybe she won't eat it.
She doesn't seem to eat everything like she used to, although this morning she was licking Christopher's iPad. He had left his tablet out, and she seemed very interested in whatever residue was left on that iPad. And I feel like if we hadn't caught her, she might have done an experimental nibble
Yeah.
on a corner.
So,
Maybe.
but, alright, so this week it's classes and making 60 items and taking photographs for Etsy,
Glazing,
glazing, all those things.
a
So,
kiln load in 3 days. We can do that.
yes, yes. So maybe we need an 8-day week.
They don't make those. When
I
know
say,
8-day weeks.
I say there should be an 8-day week. Why can't there be an 8-day week?
Because there aren't 8 names. That's why. And that will throw off everything. You know, I suppose if we really wanted to, you know, we could just bring sleeping bags out here in the studio and like this, we literally live in the
Yes,
studio. I suppose we could do that.
It'll be a fun week for sure.
I
though.
actually can't wait. We've got a lot of new things
I need
happening.
to come up with a name for an 8th day.
Okay, so now we're going to come up with a new schedule, our new 8-day schedule. That'll go well with our 10-month year, I think. Should pair nicely with that. Anyway, do we have anything else we want to talk about?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate each and every one of you. For now, toodaloo, TTFN, ta-ta for now. Take care, see you later. Have a fantastic day no matter where you're at. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.